Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Inspire FM. It's Friday, 16th of May, and the time has now just gone 10 o'clock. Welcome to Mother's Planet, a show where there is always something to talk about in a productive and beneficial way. I am your host, Neelam, and joining me in the studio this morning are my guests, Rachel and Susan. Morning, ladies.
Good morning.
And how are you both?
Yeah, thank you for having us along today.
No, thank you for taking the time out to join me this morning. And it's quite a nice morning, actually. We've got some sunshine.
Hurrah!
Yes,
a lot better than
absolutely.
yesterday.
Yes, absolutely. Much better than yesterday. I did diddle and daddle because it was cloudy this morning and I was like, oh, is it going to be sunny or cold again? And my 4-year-old sang at the top of her voice at 7 o'clock this morning, wishing the sun to arrive. And she'd made a whole song up saying, "Sunshine, I need you." And about half an hour later, the sun was out and she said, "It worked."
Oh,
So,
amazing. You're going to have to sing that every day now then.
I said that to her. I said, "You're going to have to get up every morning and sing that song at the crack of dawn." It was a good alarm, though. It got a few of them up.
Good,
So
I bet.
It was a good alarm. So, so her sunshine song has brought the sunshine out, listeners. So I hope you are all enjoying the sunshine. It's Friday and it's been a crazy week because we've had GCSEs, A-levels and the SATs. So I get reminded by my year 6 child, SATs are there as well, Mum. And I said, yes. This all been happening this week. So it's been go across the country. So I hope everyone is doing well. I think the key advice that I can offer is stay calm and keep yourself nourished, eat well. I think that's the key. I'm having to get up and make a good breakfast for all of them that are doing their exams. The SATs have finished, which is a plus point for me. So that's one child down in my house. I've still got 2 to go. So yeah, it's quite hectic. I know I'm anxious about it because I'm actually having dreams about sitting GCSE exams. So
it's playing on your mind as well then.
On my mind, yeah. And I think the worst one I had is where it was a biology exam and I'd revised for chemistry.
Oh my gosh.
And I was crying saying, I've done the wrong subject. So yes, I'm obviously anxious and I'm sure many mothers out there tuned in this morning are feeling the same. So give us a shout out. Let us do let me know how you're feeling and how you're coping with your children. So listeners, we are live on air, reaching out through the airwaves at Inspire FM 105.1 FM. You can also connect to the show via TuneIn on the Inspire FM webpage. We are also streaming live on the Facebook page where you must give the show a thumbs up and also can put down any comments and questions that you have for my guest this morning. I am taking in WhatsApp and text message on the studio number 07779 481 822. So if there is anything that you would like to share, whether it's about the weather, GCSEs, or about our topic this morning, then please do get in touch. Now, in today's show, I'm going to delve straight into it because we have a lot to cover. We are going to be talking about this support network for new mums. Now, I still classify myself as a new mum. I was a new mum in lockdown, and it was a very not a nice time because there was all the support that was there was not there, and on the other side of lockdown now, even mums that are having babies now are not fully quite aware what is available and what is out there. So I felt this show was much needed, and the lovely ladies this morning will be sharing lots of content and details. So listeners, get your pens and papers to hand to jot down some good notes. And again, any questions that you have. But first, listeners, before I go into my questions, ladies, can I get you to introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, so my name's Sue Prentice and I'm the Senior Start for Life Coordinator for Flying Start. So together with my team, we coordinate and sort of facilitate all the antenatal sessions that we have for those who are pregnant, and then the postnatal sessions as well. So for after, once baby's here and there's a lot going on, we've got lots of sessions and things that we offer. So we'll go into that a bit later on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And I'm Rachel, and I'm the Healthy Lives Coordinator for Flying Start in Luton. So I support parents with their feeding journeys, right from breastfeeding to starting solids, to those fussy eating moments. And then I also coordinate our Henry programme, which is an 8-week free programme for parents across the county.
So you touched on breastfeeding there,
did.
supporting breastfeeding, and you know, as a mum, I felt very. It was the best thing I could offer my child. But many people don't really know the benefits of breastfeeding and find it quite overwhelming. So, looking at breastfeeding and talking about breastfeeding, can you just run through some of the benefits for a baby and mum? Because I think a lot of people forget that
Absolutely.
physically and emotionally the benefits.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you, Neelam. And I think, yeah, I mean, breast milk is tailor-made for your baby. So it holds all those vitamins, all those minerals that baby needs. It has lots of benefits, like you've mentioned. So it's kind of benefits for baby include reducing the risk of infections. So it really helps with like ear infections, reduces the risk of chest infections. It's good for gut health. And it also helps mum and baby bond overall. And it's that building that loving and close relationship for mum and baby as well. But it also has long-term health benefits for baby. So it reduces the risk of obesity, reduces the risk of dental decay, and it also supports and reduces the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. Breast milk is less calorific, so babies will wake more regularly through the night for their feeds, and so they don't get into such a deeper sleep. So it kind of really helps with that reduction in sudden infant death as well. For mums, lots of long-term benefits as well. So it reduces the risk of certain cancers like breast cancer and ovarian cancer, type 2 diabetes, and as I say, and it just helps with that loving, supporting relationship as well. So there's lots of benefits going on for mum and baby.
That's really interesting that you mentioned the calories there. That I never thought of it like that, because lots of people said, "Oh, it's because you're breastfeeding, and you know your baby keeps getting up because they're not getting full quickly." But actually, that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. My baby's tummies are tiny, and as I said, and it's less calorific, so babies will be waking a lot more regularly. And as I said, it just really cuts down the risk of having that SIDS effect as well. So yeah, really good for overall health, and reduces the risk of obesity later on.
Yeah. And so I guess, you know, breastfeeding, it's one of those things that not everyone can just do straight away. It does require work. So, you know, for those mums that just need that extra support and need the guidance as to, you know, persevere with it, don't give up, because it can be sometimes you think, I need my child to feed and I'm not giving my child what it needs, so you will give up essentially and move on to more formulated milks. But you know, what's out there for these mums?
So I think it's kind of setting yourself some realistic expectations, you know, and knowing your baby the best. And if you know you are struggling, come out to, we've got some really lovely support groups. So we run the breastfeeding support and social groups throughout Luton, which runs alongside sort of our self-weigh sessions and our early day sessions. And, you know, we've had mums come in and they're like really stressed and thinking, I can't do this. But the peer support, you know, we can waffle on and tell them all the benefits, but having superior support and having mums that have been through that kind of scenario already really does like help mums realize, you know, I've got this. And sometimes it can be just as simple as position and attachment, and off they go. And you know, I still see mums today, and I often like they come back to me and go, oh my gosh, do you remember I helped you with you know, you helped me with breastfeeding. So you know, and they're still continuing to breastfeed. So you know, and it just it's amazing. It's just, you know, reach out for support. There's no shame in asking for support. You know, it's, you know, some people find it a natural thing to do, but some people, you know, it's not so. So, you know, it's just kind of like finding what works for you as mum and baby. But, you know, the support is out there.
And so are these run as sessions across the town, or are there particular places? Where are these?
Absolutely. So we run sessions across the whole of Luton.
We've got 4 sessions. So on Monday, we're at Farley Community Centre. On Tuesday, we're at Hockwell Community Centre. Thursdays, we're at St Francis Church. And on a Friday, we're at Pastures Nursery. So we've got the site sort of all across. But also, you know, we are all of our team are qualified to level 3 in breastfeeding support as well. And a lot of Flying Start staff are. So at any sessions, if parents are having problems, come and approach one of the members of staff, because if they don't know the answer, they know somebody that does,
yeah.
and we can put you in contact with someone and
Yes.
sort of, you know, give you the support that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just talking it over on the phone,
Yes.
and we can reassure
Sure,
you that yes,
yeah.
what you're doing is
Fine.
right, and
Yeah.
it's all okay,
Yeah.
and that's enough. That's all you need. So
Yeah. And I think it's quite overwhelming because you often, as a new mum, you know, and I really like the fact that you said that when new mums come along to these sessions, they meet other mums that are in the same boat, and
Absolutely.
it sort of gives you that reassurance that I'm not alone, and it's quite normal to feel like this.
Yeah.
And I think, especially as a new mum, everything needs to be normalized. You need to be around people that are in the same boat, because you will then realize that actually I'm not alone in this.
Absolutely.
And there's lots, so that's very important. Now, you know, coming from a South Asian community, breastfeeding is very important to us, and it was highly encouraged. The only downside was that we don't like public breastfeeding. So, you know, if a family member came, I remember isolating myself in the rooms and saying, right, I need to be locked down and, you know, no socializing for the next 15-20 minutes until baby's really fed well. And then it used to make me anxious. I didn't want to go out. And I know a lot of mums, you know, put off meeting up friends because now I'm breastfeeding and I don't really want to, you know, I just need to be at home with the baby. And it's so easy to just get into that. So, you know, do you have any advice for these kind of mums?
Yeah.
You know, because we have moved on and there are things available. So what kind of advice would you offer here?
Absolutely. And I think it's our expectations, I think, as new mums as well, and breastfeeding. And I think a lot of people don't take a lot of notice, but you know, it is being self-conscious when you first go out for the first time. So, you know, it's plan ahead, I would say. You know, you kind of you know, think about the clothing you're going to wear, you know, go for loose clothing, or, you know, wear a couple of tops where you could pull one up and one down, so you know you're not self-exposed. You know, practice at home in different seating around the home. That's really important. And also maybe sit in front of a mirror and breastfeed. That's a great way to see, like, oh, what parts of me are exposed, what can I change, how can I readjust, you know. And take scarves and things like muslins, and I know there's a great, like, it's like an apron kind of style that you can pop over your head, and you know, it covers up everything for you. You know, throughout Luton we are running the Free to Feed campaign, so there'll be stickers throughout Luton in different businesses that, you know, give you that confidence to, you know, you notice the sticker, you notice that that's something, you know, that they're free to feed. You can pop in and they'll, you know, give you a glass of water, you know, and find you somewhere comfortable to sit. And you know, and it's sometimes just taking somebody with you as well to build on that confidence.
And that's so nice to be able to go out and be offered that glass of water, and
Absolutely.
you know, and the luxury of sitting down and being outside. Sometimes it's not even about talking, it's about just sitting there and looking outside a coffee window and seeing people walk past, and knowing that you're in a social setting, even if you're not actually having a conversation with anyone, but you're just outside and you're enjoying the freedom of being outside and not just in a room. And I like that tip about sitting in different positions in the house, because I got myself
different
used to
chairs.
we do, don't we? Oh, I have to have that chair, I need to have that armrest. So that's a really good tip, because then that encourages you and gives you the confidence to be anywhere, and you can then feed your baby. So I do like that tip there. And the aprons, yes, it was something I discovered only with my last child in lockdown. But you could do your own DIY t-shirts, get an extra large one, pop it
scarves, you know, muslins, just tie it around your neck, and you know,
so
there's lots of ways to do it. And
absolutely. So and that's really handy to know as well, that having those aids to help you feel a bit more comfortable is really you know, what encouragement would you give to a mum that's perhaps thinking about breastfeeding but not quite sure about breastfeeding? You know, what would you say? I'm not saying sell it, because, you know, it's not it's not for everyone, you know, and it's something that does require dedication, but once you've got in the mojo of doing things, and feeding, you're there. So what's your words of wisdom that you could offer around this?
Yeah, and I think it is that, isn't it? It's kind of going with, like, it's a journey. You're both learning. You're both learning together. So that's really important, and do come out to our support groups. You'll be met by highly trained, friendly staff who's going to welcome you in, find you somewhere comfortable to sit, in a private area if you need it. But also, just have that peer support around you, and it just really helps build your confidence about, and it could be, as I say, it might be just that you're struggling with a bit of position and attachment and you need a little bit of support with that. But keep giving it a go, kind of, work towards, having a journey together.
Yeah, and I think, breastfeeding is beneficial apart from everything that Rachel said. It's cheaper, it's on tap, you can do it whenever, wherever. Night feeds are so much easier. There's no going and making those bottles up. You're already there. Baby wakes up, you can just give them a feed straight away. So there's lots of it's all there. So and also, if you're feeling a bit low, or breastfeeding has benefits to help you as well. Give baby a feed, have that skin to skin. That's really helps with sort of releasing that oxytocin, which we know is that happy hormone. So you can sit and have those cuddles. You can't overfeed a breastfed baby either. So if you're wanting to go out and you think, as soon as I get in the car they're going to need a feed them before you go. Babies never refuse the breast, hardly ever refuse the breast, do they? So it has lots of other benefits apart from all of the health benefits that we mentioned.
So we had a question come in earlier on around breastfeeding, and it's an interesting question because some mums, when they're breastfeeding, can overproduce milk, and the baby's not always interested in the milk, but it can cause a lot of anxiety and engorged breasts for the mums. And so what advice could you offer around this?
Sort of engorgement, so I would say continue feeding. If you are got a fast let down, then make sure that you lean back, because it reduces the let down. It kind of just reduces that sort of expression of them getting the milk, and then just take your time, or you can express a little bit off, hand express a little bit off to start with, and then pop baby back on. So it's kind of finding where you feel comfortable, but the more milk that you give baby, the more your body will produce. So it's kind of a you feed and you produce. So it's kind of a bit like having like they say, it's like a factories rather than storeroom. So the more baby has, the more baby your body will produce.
So the expressing the milk is probably one of the key things to do, because a lot of women can get quite poorly if it's not, if you don't express that milk. And I've been told, and you can clear the myth here, that sometimes if you have engorged breasts and the milk that does first come out to the baby, it's not the right milk, or because you've got stored milk, so you think, oh gosh, am I not giving? Is there such a thing? Is this a whole myth?
It's a myth. So you have that watery milk to start off with. It's a bit like us having a glass of water before our meal. So you can express, you don't want to be sort of draining the whole breast, so just taking a little bit off. Thinking about having that balloon, if you were trying to get hold of a balloon and baby trying to latch onto a balloon, then it's just kind of taking a little bit off. It makes it a little bit more pliable for baby to kind of latch on. As I say, try leaning back. It kind of just reduces that flow a little bit, and baby's more able to deal with, rather than it having something so fast coming out. So it's just kind of readjusting yourself to fit.
That's a good tip, actually, again, because we do tend to lean
forward,
just change your total position. So lean back.
It's a lovely position, that one, actually, because you can literally sit on a sofa and put your feet up and lean back and just let baby feed that way.
So that's some lovely tips there, listeners. So if you have just tuned in, where have you been? We are joined by the lovely Rachel and Susan this morning. And we have just been talking about breastfeeding and the support available around this. And also the ladies have very kindly shared some tips around breastfeeding, some things to make it easier at the very start of your baby's journey and how you can bond with your baby. So again, if you have any questions, please do message in on 07779 481 822. Sleep. I think, this is a really difficult topic, and it's something that new mums really need to be assured on. So, how important is sleep for a newborn and even for the mum?
Yes, so sleep is really important for the newborn, obviously, because they need that rest to process all the new information that they're now getting, the talking to, the seeing things, and their brains are connecting, their brain connections are going all of the time, and that's tiring.
Yeah.
So they need their sleep to be able to develop their brain, really. But babies are very different to us, and they work on a 24-hour clock initially, because up until they're about 12 to 16 weeks, they don't have melatonin, which is the hormone that helps us realise that it's time to go to sleep. In the evenings when we all start getting tired, that's the melatonin telling
I've got
us
a lot of
that.
Yeah.
But babies don't have that. So they're going to work, they are going to be on that 24/7 clock. Okay, so I think knowing that, and knowing that they are going to be awake during the night, and we want them to be awake because, as Rachel said, because of the risks, they have tiny, tiny tummies, really, really small tummies. So again, they're going to get full up quickly. So they need those constant feeds. So I think just reassuring yourself that, yes, for the first little bit, you are going to be waking up quite a few times. And it is exhausting. But I think having things in place to support you as well. Try and sleep when baby sleeps.
I'm going to stop you there on that one, because a lot of people say sleep when the baby sleeps, and it's so difficult as a new mum. So, how can we really push ourselves to do this bit? Because you'll think, do I go and have my cup of coffee that I just really need, or cup of tea that I need, or that toast that's just sitting there? You don't know what to prioritize, and then the lack of sleep doesn't make you help you prioritize.
No.
So in a realistic way, how can we just really push ourselves to do that?
So I think even if you can't go to sleep, and I appreciate, because yes, you've got all these other things that are sort of pulling you to do, I would let and I know this is hard, but I would let visitors and family come and do the housework and do all of those things, so that you're not worrying about it. Certainly let your support system help you. Don't try and do it all. When you are, tired, or when baby's gone to sleep, even if you can't go to sleep, sit and relax. Put the phone away for a little while. Get that toast and a nice cup of tea, and just sit and put your feet up and just have a bit of time just for you. Because you may not feel tired to begin with, but if you've sat down and you've had your snack, and then you might just nod off just for a little while. I know it's really hard because there's all these other things that need to be done.
And I think it's, even not having children, just for women generally taking that time out. But I think if we actually sit down, put our feet up, I know I would fall asleep straight away, just doing that, just stopping, and that's our body telling us that you need this.
Exactly.
So I think it's just really pushing and doing that. I guess, mums need to know that the lack of sleep, if they didn't sleep, what would the impact be?
Yes, the lack of the impact of the lack of sleep on them is you are just going to be really, really tired, but that it's quite normal. This is quite a natural process that you're going through. So as I've said, get friends to do things for you, have the rest when you can have it, try and stay calm. It's really hard. You get very tired, you get overtired, and that's when things you might snap or get a little bit and when baby's crying, that can highlight those things
Yeah.
even more. So it's really important to remember things like ICON, which is what's the word for something when it's letters like that?
Acronym.
An acronym. That's the word I was looking for. So the I stands for infant crying is normal. This is
Okay.
how babies communicate with us.
Mhm.
This is how they're telling us what they want and what they don't want. So it's quite normal. The C then is comforting methods. Try and find those things that are going to comfort baby. Is it skin to skin, walking around, having a cuddle with them, taking them out in the pram, having a motion walk, all those different things. The O is it's okay to walk away. So if you're really, really tired and you're getting stressed, it's okay to put baby down in a safe space and just walk away. Just take some deep breaths, not for a long time because we don't want babies left crying,
Yeah.
but just go and take a breather,
Yeah.
count to 10, get yourself a drink of water or something, and then come back. When you're calm, come back, and then you can start all those comfort things again and see if one works, because the N is never shake a baby, and we don't want you to get to that stage. So if you can do these other things beforehand, that's all going to help.
Yeah. So believe it or not, we are now heading over to a short commercial break. So we will touch on that more after the break, listeners. But for now, go refill your hot brew, cold brew, whatever it is, and join us after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
This programme will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Feeling the pressure? You're not alone. GCSE preparations is a journey, and every small step matters. Start with a plan, stay consistent, and give yourself time to grow. Don't chase perfection, aim for progress. Stay calm, take breaks, and trust the work you've put in. You've got everything it takes to succeed. Breathe deep, stay focused. Your future is bright.
Landlords, let us take away the hassle of letting your property. Our comprehensive services include tenant vetting, rent collection and service charges, maintenance and repairs. Ideal Properties has 2 branches and have been established over 20 years and have gained a wealth of knowledge and experience.
If you are thinking of selling or letting your property, then speak to a member of our knowledgeable team about a free no-obligation market appraisal.
We can also offer guaranteed rental income.
Contact us on either Luton 721110 or 696050. Ideal Properties. Service with a smile, whatever your needs.
Universal Clutches on Cosgrove Way in Luton offer more than just clutch repairs. We also now cover MOTs, servicing, brakes, suspension and vehicle recoveries. We've got you covered whether you drive a manual or semi-automatic car, van or truck. We aim to provide a quick and reliable service, and Universal Clutches are an AA and RAC approved garage. For a reliable service you can trust, call 01582 876 300 or find Universal Clutches on Google, Instagram and Facebook.
Assalamu alaikum, you're listening to Zanera Malik. I'm a volunteer for Islamic Relief and Made in Europe. You're listening to Inspire FM 105.1 FM.
Need a ride? Village Taxis has you covered. Going to the airport, station, work, hospital or school? Call Village Taxis on Luton 250-250 for a quick, reliable service. New drivers wanted. Get registered today and join the Village Taxis team, serving Luton, Central Beds, TfL, Wolverhampton, Hertfordshire and beyond. Taxi rental also available. Download our easy-to-use Village Taxis app or call on 01582 250 250 to book your ride today. Village Taxis, your local taxi company.
There's no shame in feeling down, no shame in asking for help. We all have our battles, and healing starts with honesty. Whether it's a friend, a therapist, or a hotline, your feelings are valid. You deserve support.
Can you imagine losing your parents and seeing your home destroyed? Thousands of children in Gaza have lost one or both of their parents, Agorsh UK invites you to sponsor an orphan in Gaza and provide them with life-changing care, protection, and hope. Let's help orphans to rebuild their lives. Donate your zakat and sadaqah for an orphan in Gaza today. £500 per year or £42 per month. Visit Agorsh UK.
When death comes to one of them, he says, "My Lord, send me back, so that I can do good things in the things I neglected." By no means, it is a mere word that he speaks. Quran, Surah 23, Ayah 99 to 100.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 16th of May, and the time has now just gone 10:30. I'm your host, Neelam, and joining me in the studio this morning are my guests, Rachel and Susan. Morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So just before the break, we touched on ICON. ICON is an acronym for new mums to really take into consideration when it comes to helping our babies with sleep. So just if you could just quickly touch on what ICON stands for.
Yeah,
again.
so ICON is the infant crying is normal. So that's your I. Then your C is those comforting methods to help. So all of those cuddles. And then the O is it's okay to walk away. So if you're feeling stressed and you just need a break, it's okay to put baby in their safe sleep space and just walk away for a moment, take the breather, count to 10, and then come back. And you'll find that you're a lot calmer by doing that, because the N is never shake a baby, and we don't want you to get to that point. And there is ICON, they are a national organisation. So if you were to look them up, there is a phone number and they're available to you. So if you do get to that point and you have nobody else to talk to, then ICON do have a phone number that you can contact.
Okay, that's sound advice there. Thank you. And I guess, you know, when it comes to sleep, new mums, you know, especially first-time parents, you want to be that great parent that's, I've got my child in a routine. And so from day dot, from the day they're born, they're fixated on getting their child into a sleep routine. Is this advisable?
No, because to be honest, they're not going to be in a routine to begin with. And we're very much into responsive parenting now. So you respond to your baby. So you need to try and fit around your baby rather than expecting baby to fit around you. And you're not going to have a routine. So don't expect to have one. As I said, they are going to wake up. Sometimes they might have a sleep for 2 hours after a feed. Sometimes they might sleep for 10 minutes after a feed. It's a bit like us. You know, I can go a whole couple of hours without anything to eat. And then another time we have hungry days and not hungry days, don't we? Sleep and food, it's all very sort of connected. And babies are on a different sleep cycle to us. So whereas we go into deep sleep first as adults and then go into light sleep, babies go into that light sleep first and then into the deep sleep, and they have a different sleep cycle. Ours is 90 minutes, babies is about 60 minutes. So rather than when you're trying to get them off to sleep, as soon as they close their eyes, you think, right, that's it, they're asleep, and you put them down and then get frustrated because they wake up 5 minutes later. If you just sit and cuddle them for about 20 minutes, and obviously every baby is different, but you'll hear the change in their breathing. They go in, I can't describe it, but the breathing changes. They go into like a deeper breathing. You'll know then that they've gone into deep sleep. That's the time to move them. Okay, because they're then more likely to stay asleep because they're in that deep sleep.
And I guess, you know, we're always concerned that, oh, you know, if we hold them for too long, or if we allow them to sleep in our arms for too long, they're going to get used to this. So, you know, we're anxious about putting them down. Is this, again, a myth?
It totally is. You honestly can't spoil a baby by giving them too many cuddles. You really can't. And if you think, you're developing their brain
Mm.
while you're sitting there cuddling them,
Mm.
okay? Because as we said earlier, it's that lovely oxytocin that gets released.
Mm.
So sit and enjoy those cuddles while you can.
Yes.
We don't want babies left to cry, because that releases the cortisol, which is a stress hormone,
Mm.
and that can impact on their brain development. So, you know, pick them up,
Yeah.
sit and have those cuddles, let everybody else do all of
Be
the other
running
things that
around.
need to be done,
Yes,
because you
yes.
can say, no, I'm sitting and I'm going to cuddle my baby
That's
and
it.
just enjoy that time.
Yeah, because then they turn into teenagers.
Yeah.
And then the whole
And then you won't have a cuddle because they won't want one.
And then it's a very different story. So
Yeah.
yes, you know, I think the early years having and knowing that as well, because you know, there's old wives' tales and there's traditional, you know, cultural backgrounds people come from where you think, no, you mustn't hold the baby for too long, or let them cry, it's good for them. But you know, we need to move away from this and really try and develop that relationship, because these early years are so important. We don't really realize the impact it's having on the baby, the security that you're forming and building with that child. So yes, get those cuddles in. I think that's really important. So I guess, you know, what people and listeners that tuned in are really keen to hear are some top tips around, you know, being a new mum. If you could just share a few, you know, hot tips around motherhood and the early days, how, you know, navigating it can be a challenge. So, you know, I'm sure everyone's eager to hear this.
Okay. So it's having those, I suppose,
No pressure.
No pressure. Having those realistic expectations. You know, things aren't always going to go to plan. You know, you might think, right, I'm going to get out, you know, 3 days this week and go for a walk, but actually you may have only done one. Well, congratulations, you've got out of the house, and that's amazing. So it is really kind of setting those expectations and focusing on, you know, what you have done rather than what you haven't done. You know, don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. You know, reach out. You know, everybody, you know, you don't needs help at some point. And I think, you know, when your baby's born, it doesn't come with a manual. So, you know, ask for help. You know, it's really important, and try not to kind of go down the route of sitting in bed at night kind of Googling away, because that is a rabbit hole that you're never going to get out of. You know, go for those, like the NHS app, your CCS app, you know, apps that you know that are going to be there and support you and give you that advice and guidance that you need. You know, also eat a well-balanced diet. I mean, I think you mentioned this, Neelam, at the beginning of the today's show. You know, and stay hydrated. You know, you want to stay healthy and stay hydrated, and look after your well-being, which we come back to. You know, sitting and having those cuddles with your baby. You know, if you take time out, have some me time, have some rest time, you really are able to deal with the daily challenges that arise. So, you know, just look after yourself as much as you can, and get other people to do other jobs around the home.
Yeah, and get out, you know, attend the local groups. We have a whole timetable of different sessions across Luton.
And how can these timetables be accessed? Is there a site, or I know we're going to cover the support and advice a bit later in the show, but just because we're touching on it now, is there anything out that how can these be accessed?
Yeah, so there's the Luton Family Hubs, and they have an app, so you can download the app, and lots of the information is on there. But ourselves at Flying Start, we also have a website, and our timetable is on the website. But if you've got any questions, you can just ring us, and then we can suggest the sort of sessions that we think would be useful for you. And a lot of the baby sessions and sort of new parent sessions are just drop-ins. So you're not tied to a time. Even if you only manage to come for 10 minutes, like Rachel said, well done, you've managed to get dressed and get out of the house. You know, you're going to feel better just for doing that. Come and sit and have a cup of tea for 10 minutes, and you'll be surprised how much better that makes you feel.
And I guess it's important to celebrate the small milestones that you achieve,
Absolutely.
and not, you know, as you said, if you put an unrealistic task of, I'm going to get out every day for 10 minutes, you know, a 15-minute walk, just go around the block, and then you only achieve the one, well, you know, you did it. You
Exactly.
did the one.
Yeah.
It's recognizing that, and, you know, achieving those milestones, and not being hard on yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
And the weather's getting better as well. So, you know, hopefully the sun will stay. So, you know, I guess that's, you know, so any mums that are feeling a bit overwhelmed, you know, the Luton Family Hubs. I know for anyone that's tuned in on the Facebook page, you can see in the studio we have the lovely banner at the back of the lovely ladies with quite a few information there about some of the areas that you can get some support from. So, you know, what can mums that are feeling a bit overwhelmed with this, is there anywhere that they can, you know, we often don't have the time, especially if it's a mum that's had their third child or fourth child and you've got other children to take care of. Coming to support networks or going out and meeting other people might not be possible because you've got school runs to think about, nursery pickups to think about, and you know that in itself can take up most of your day, and getting to do those things in itself is quite challenging. So how could these mums that don't often have the time to come to the support networks available, what can they do?
And I think it's quite normal to be overwhelmed right at the beginning. It's one of those like, oh gosh, you know, and that's perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed. And I think give yourself time, be kind to yourself, give yourself time to adjust. And as you said, you know, sometimes when you've got other children to get out of the school, it's hard. So, but there is, you know, there's lots of online sites that you can kind of contact. So we've got our Solihull, which supports mums, and it has different modules on there, and it starts right from that antenatal stage. And they're modules that you can do for a little bit and then go back to it. You know, you don't have to do the whole course all in one go. So it's a dip in, dip out course module. So it's something that you can tap into. It gives you lots of information. There's lots of small videos on there that you can watch, and it just gives you that extra bit of support. But you know, think about your sort of hand of support, I guess. You know, so think about who have you got sort of local to you. You know, you've got your partner, you know, you've got your in-laws, friends, family, but you've also got, you know, your professionals, like, you know, your midwife in the very early days. Then you've got your health visiting team, and then you've got us here at Flying Start. So, you know, you've probably got more sort of support around you than you possibly realise. So it's kind of tapping into all of those resources that are kind of at your fingertips.
Yes, and I think it's just being aware, because, you know,
absolutely.
With lockdown and the, you know, health visitors, I don't think I got a home visit at all. I didn't get a visit at all, and I needed to go to clinics just to do the essentials, like the heel prick test and the hearing test, and that was it. And then you were kind of left on your own. So, you know, I'm glad she wasn't my first, because I think I would have, you know, really, it would have sent me down a different road.
It was really struggling. And I think if you are sitting at home and you're worried about something, or it's your low mood, or you're starting to feel a bit, you know, too overwhelmed, there are places that you can contact. So, you know, talk to your midwife or talk to your health visitor, tell them how you're feeling. There's a perinatal mental health team. They're available to help you. So don't sit at home.
And
you know, it will only get worse. So even if you can't come out, pick the phone up and talk to somebody, because there's lots and lots of support out there for you.
And I guess it's normalizing that, because you know, once you've had a baby, your hormones are just everywhere,
all over the place.
And so it's quite normal to have, you know, breakdowns and cry. But I think it's just letting mums know that that's normal. If you're crying, it does not mean you're failing.
Not at all. No, I mean, you're going to be overtired. You probably haven't eaten properly. Lots of mums come to our sessions, don't they? And we haven't had breakfast today. We didn't have time for breakfast because with the school run and feeding baby, and, you know, get someone to prepare you some snacks and leave them for you in the fridge. Just so those little things that you can just pop into the fridge and grab, you know, try and get those support, we keep saying it, but those support systems round you, because it will make it easier. Yes, you are going to be tired. Yes, you are going to be overwhelmed, but it doesn't last either. You know, it's that first little bit, but you will come out the other side. You know, and you will start to get your life back a bit in a different way, because now you've got your gorgeous baby there. But you know, it'll just be different, but you will get out to do those things again. You just got to do it a different way this time.
And I was going to say, our early groups, like for our early day sessions and our breastfeeding support groups, they're drop-ins. So you don't have to be there for a set time. You don't have to stay for the whole session. You know, you can just pop in. If you've got 10 minutes, just pop in. So sometimes it is just talking to somebody else and offloading. Really helps. It's just talking, and you've got a friendly face and a friendly person just to sit and listen to you. So sometimes you don't need an answer, you don't need a solution. It's sometimes just letting off a bit of steam and saying, oh, I can't cope today. So but so they are dropped in, so they aren't just structured for, you know, just this is the hour that you've got to be there. So
And you know, as the baby gets a bit older, and you know, we get through the first 6-7 weeks, you know, of their growth spurts, there's other things then that parents can do. You know, you have your baby clinics, which are now up and running.
They are.
Yes. Yeah. And at the moment, Flying Start run our self-weigh clinics alongside our early days and our breastfeeding support and social group. So if you come along for self-weigh, you can always join in the early days groups as well and sit and have a cuppa. Don't have to, but our staff are there to support those sessions. And Cambridge Community Services also run self-weigh clinics across Luton, so you can look on their website and you'll be able to find
But I was just going to ask about, you know, any sessions for mums to come in with newborns, because sometimes it's quite nice just to have a cup of tea that you've not put the kettle on 50 times and not actually made that cup of tea. You can actually get a cup of tea
and have it warm,
and have a hot cup of tea. So we run our early day sessions, which are for new parents, and as I've said, they're alongside the other groups as well. We have our baby sensory sessions. So once little one gets sort of 3-4 months, then again, that's something that you can move on to. We run baby massage courses. So this is a 5-week course, and baby massage is really lovely for that attachment, that relationship. You've got nothing else to think about apart from you and baby for that hour for 5 weeks. So we run those, we run 2 courses per term of baby massage. So again, that's a really lovely one for new parents to come along. And often they, because you're there with other parents, you then start socializing with, you know, they've set up WhatsApp groups and then they meet in the park, or they'll come to an early days all together. So trying to get out and just doing one of these things is really going to help.
And I think that's the key thing there, that when you go and you see other parents, it's that socializing, connecting, making a friend. And, you know, I've often done that with my older ones, and I've still got, you know, my children are much older now and we're still in contact. You know, and it's so lovely to know that, you know, that we've seen them through their milestones in their educational journey and, you know, growing up. So that's quite nice. So I think that's the key there, that these social networks are not support networks are not just there for you to bond with baby, but it's also to, you know, build that wider network for yourself as well. And, you know, we do crave it. We do, you know, mums do look for other mums to have that connection with.
And we also we sort of embed the 5 to Thrive approach here in sort of Luton as well, which is, so it's not just obviously for the socializing, but we're helping develop baby's brain and your brain while you're going along to these sessions. So whereas we think of our fruit and vegetables are for our physical well-being, 5 to Thrive approach is for your mental well-being. So there's 5 building blocks. So they're respond, which we've spoken about, responding to baby, cuddle, which we've also said, and please remember you can't spoil your baby by cuddling them too much. Relax. You're a mirror for your baby. The more relaxed you are, the more relaxed baby's going to be. So try and think baby massage is lovely for that. Then we've got play and talk. So they're the other 2. So initially, baby's not going to need anybody else apart from you. You talk to them, you're looking at them. You don't have to spend a lot of money on expensive toys. You know, they need you initially interacting and responding with them. But all of our sessions embed those 5 building blocks, so you will learn about different things coming along
and that's
to them
and
as
that's
well.
Really nice that you touched on that about mum and dad's voice, you know, parent voice,
Mm.
because you think, I remember with my first, I'd talk to her because it was just me and her at home, and I would talk to her. Mummy's just going to the bathroom. Mummy's just going to get a cup of tea. And I think my mother-in-law came round once and she said, "Are you talking to your baby?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got nobody else to talk to, but I'm sure she's responding in her head somewhere that Mum's gone to get that 50th cup of tea or something, you know." But it's important.
Really, really important. And speak to them in your home language as well.
Yes.
That is really important, because when you're talking in your home language, you're getting that intonation and the rhythm in your voice. And babies will pick up English or the other languages when they go to school. So just keep that communication, play the music, get into reading them a story. It's a lovely routine, reading a story before bedtime. Yes, babies are just you could just have a book without any words on it and just describe what's on the page. Just talk about what you're doing. When you're changing nappies, talk to them, sing them nursery rhymes, tell them what you're doing. All of that communication is going to help their brain development and help them start talking to you later on.
I know, there'll be chatterboxes.
They will.
Yeah. There'll be little chat. But yes, and I think you know, I'm hoping my mum's not listening, but you're right about the language. You know, definitely speak your home language with them, because having a bilingual child, academically, it's shown that they will do better at school as well, because they were able to pick up another language and English as well. So yeah, I was always worried that my children wouldn't be able to understand English. So I grew up speaking English, so the home language was not really embedded in myself to really enforce it. But my eldest now, who's off to go and study linguistics, hopefully, she tells me off. She says, you know, I really wish that, you know, from an early age you'd spoken a different language or our home language. But she's taken off now. She's learning French and all sorts herself.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you know.
Yeah,
but
and they're a sponge at that age as well.
Yes.
They're taking it all in.
Yes.
So if it's easier for you to speak in your home language, then do that. Because as I say, you get that rhythm in your voice.
Yes. Yes.
When you're speaking, which you might not in a language that you're trying to learn yourself. So but any communication with baby is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies, we've got a few minutes left of the show. So, you know, support networks, I guess, is really important. And I know there's quite a few that we've touched based on throughout the show with some. But, you know, this is where we're going to really plug them in now and let the listeners know that they are there. You know, we've had quite a few, and there's a few that have come about in the last couple of years as well that weren't there even at the beginning of before lockdown. So it'd be really good to know what's out there.
Yeah, so you've got us here at Flying Start. Let's plug ourselves first.
Yes,
so yeah, we're a friendly team, so do come and see us. You've got the family hubs, which is growing all of the time. You know, we've got you've got your midwife, you've got your CCS, so your health visiting team, and as I say, you've got all your networks. So you've got Icon. As I said, we've got that information that you can plug into. You've got our Solihull online, which you can do those modules as and when you want to. You've got your breastfeeding network. They're an independent source of support and information. And you've also got your national breastfeeding helpline, should you, you know, think oh my gosh, I'm really struggling. So, you know, they are,
and they're open 24/7. So, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, when if you need someone to talk to, they're there. So they're a really good resource to sort of plug into.
Yeah, because a lot of these things you think, oh, it's 9 to 5, too late to ring anyone now. So that's really good to know. 24 hours.
And the health visiting service as well, they have an 0300 number. And if you phone them and nobody answers, if you leave a message, they will get back to you. So even if you phone them out of hours, they will, you know, they'll get back to you the following day. Or
that's good to know as well.
So and go with your gut. If you're thinking that something's not quite right, phone your health visiting team. Nobody's going to get cross with you because you phoned up because you were, you know, you were worried and it wasn't anything. We would much rather that you phone up and talk to somebody. So trust your gut. This baby is yours. You're their parents. You know what that baby needs. And if something doesn't feel right, then phone someone and talk about it.
Yeah, and I guess it's, knowing that you know you're not going to get reprimanded for
No,
phoning
not
it
at
in,
all.
because there's no right or wrong. Every
No.
child is different, every
Yeah.
baby is different,
Yeah.
everyone's journey is different, and
Yeah.
you could be a first time mum or a mum, as we said, to a third or fourth child, and that child will still be very different to how you were with your eldest.
Yeah.
So much is changing.
Yeah. And I think with social media as well, try not to feel, and I know it's hard, we're all on Facebook and Instagram, but try not to, as Rachel said, go down that rabbit hole, because that peer pressure can put a lot on you. And, as you've just said, every baby is different. So try not to compare. Try not, because somebody has put that their baby slept 10 hours last night. Chances are they didn't actually sleep 10 hours last night. It was just that the parent didn't wake up when the baby moved, or because we all wake up during the night, but we know how to self-settle. Babies don't. They wake up for a reason. They're uncomfortable, they need a nappy change, they just want a hug, they need a feed. So when these people put on social media, oh, my baby did this and my baby did that, we sort of don't we, we're just like, oh, so cross inside, because everybody's different. Try not to feel, oh, just because my friend's baby's doing this, or so and so's doing that.
And with the social media platforms, we've got about 50 seconds left, but just to say that we're getting snippets. That they could have done that video and then 5 minutes later,
Absolutely.
Yes. That's the plot.
Yes.
Absolutely. You just don't know.
No.
So, it's really important to not feel that that's the normal.
That's the normal. Yeah.
So, ladies, we have now come to the end of the show, and it's been a really good show. I cannot believe how much support there is available now, and I'm hoping listeners were able, I actually have no doubt listeners were able to benefit from what you've shared. There's some great tips there, so listeners, if there's anything that you do want, I'll try and plug these into the Facebook part of the show. And again, thank you, ladies, for your time.
Thank you for having us.
And Friday blessings to everyone that's tuned in this morning. Wishing everyone a wonderful weekend. Salam alaikum.
Coming up next, Bazmina.